The views and opinions expressed on Beautiful Disasters are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their sponsors, or anyone else involved. Also, there is going to be a lot of adult language used on this podcast, so please keep your little kiddies away unless you don't care about them that much.
All right, welcome back to Beautiful Disasters.
Hello, Grutz. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We had a fun time today.
Yes, we did. It was a blast. I am so stoked that we finally got to watch this.
Blast from the past. And an interesting film. I don't know really how to describe it, but I feel like we need to introduce who the fuck we are.
Yeah, let's start there, and then we can dig into the wealth of nonsense that is this animated glory.
Very true. Yes, as you mentioned, I am the Grutz.
Wonderful. I am Murphy Lawless, and joining us today, I believe for the first time on Beautiful Disasters. No.
We had him on the 3D.
That's right.
Episode
You
of
watched
The Mask.
I did watch The Mask.
You watched the other movie that I desperately want to watch.
Possibly
Give me them glasses.
Possibly the only Canadian horror film we've done.
This is the second.
Oh,
This is a Canadian horror, but
Yeah.
I mean, what would you classify this as?
I
don't know.
It's
but
Canadian.
anyway,
this is weird ass 80s animated psychedelic rock and roll something.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great.
I mean, that's pretty much.
It's a post-apocalyptic rock and roll cartoon. Yeah, so we are, of course, talking about 1983's Rock and Rule.
The highest grossing movie of that year. No doubt.
No.
it was a good year. 83?
83 was
83 is your birth year.
I'm an 83 model.
Vintage 83.
right. A lot of good things that didn't hit hard that year. I mean, you did. But let's see. I think Michael Mann's The Keep came out in 83.
Which we are still fighting to get a release of, if I'm not mistaken.
I do have one widescreen Laserdisc, actually.
Of course you do.
Fantastic.
Laserdisc.
That's right. You know, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
This is the Grutz. Of course he says, I have this on Laserdisc like this is a very normal, everyday statement.
I mean, you know, I'm probably not the only person with a working Laserdisc player in this town.
You're right.
I think my uncle might still have one. He lives about 5 minutes that way.
Actually, I was going to say, I think that Andrew from Wax Moon is also a big Laserdisc enthusiast.
I know, I've sold him some.
Oh my god. I'm
But
so
no.
glad that we've already started talking about Laserdisc on the podcast.
We are talking about Rock and Roll, which I do vaguely remember from my late teen years or something, seeing it on VHS, possibly on a TV channel somewhere, maybe in my buddy Jesse's basement. I have no idea.
Oh, I'm so jealous of that. I
But
can pun this
I
late.
didn't see it again until maybe a couple years ago when they re-released it on DVD. I think Unearthed Films did this one.
Oh, that tracks. It's the 25th edition that you've got, right?
Yeah. It's just as weird and confusing as I remember it.
Well, I had never seen it until tonight.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. What a fucking ride.
That's all you can really say about this movie, is that it is an experience.
I mean, I came across this mid-pandemic, just looking for new stuff to watch on Prime. And after I watched it, I was like, how did no one tell me about this film? All of you have failed me.
I'm just mad that I didn't know I should have brought some extra drugs with me or something to do this. Like,
Yeah.
that'd have been...
Dude,
some shrooms or something. I don't know.
work in the morning, man.
Whatever. I can phone that in.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a little harder as we get into our 30s and 40s and whatnot, but, you know, it can be done.
Fair enough. Well, Rock and Rule is a Canadian release film done by the producing company Nelvana. We'll go over some of the other stuff that they've come out with, in a little bit. It was also released elsewhere other than North America under, I will believe it's called The Ring of Power, and alternate title Drats, after what they were going to title the mutant creatures that are in it. Because this is in fact a post-apocalyptic world. We are post-World War III. Humanity has been wiped out, and all of the humanoid figures have re-evolved from cats, dogs, rats, and other street creatures. So that's why we've got all these weird elongated features, noses, strange non-five-fingered hands.
I just thought that was 1980s cartoons. No one gets 5 fingers.
No one gets 5 fingers in the 1980s, but I'm just going to call that a mutation.
Sure.
Because it felt kind.
Now, if we're talking about animation from this era, late 70s, early 80s, obviously Ralph Bakshi is in the conversation,
He is, but he wasn't involved in this movie at all.
He wasn't. You're right.
He is frequently mistaken for being involved in this.
And you can definitely tell that some of the style seems like it's his. Mm-hmm. It was derived from, but I feel like it's worth saying that a lot of the big animated movies that came out just before this were sort of anthology style movies. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you had Heavy Metal.
Mm-hmm. That was 81.
And then you had what was the other one? I'm blanking right now. But this is a ongoing narrative that you get introduced to the characters in the beginning. It runs through the whole thing, and I'm wondering if maybe this movie had problems trying to hold an audience even for 77 minutes just because of they weren't ready for the animation narrative.
Well, I think that there's a lot that happened with this film. So I listened to a podcast that Kirla Janice did with Clive Smith, who is the director and the co-founder of Nelvana. She was talking with him about one of their previous films, The Devil and Daniel Mouse, and he was talking about her interest lies in children's cartoons that utilize subcultures in their cartoon programming and their children's programming, and the way that subculture and alternative things kind of permeate that lifestyle, which makes sense. You can look her up, she's rad. But they started talking about Rock and Rule, and they're talking about how a lot of different people had their hands in it as far as animation goes, and they had a bunch of different directions that they wanted to go with it, and they thought they had a plan, and they thought they had a distributor, and then their contact for distribution got bought out by MGM. And MGM did not give one single fuck about this film, and they were like, you better do something to get this released. And so they brought in other things, stuff got added. That's why you end up with some slapstick stuff, some more horror shot stuff, and a whole wealth of animation. And I kind of feel like we also need to look at the Beatles' Yellow Submarine and the stuff that went into Pink Floyd's The Wall and things like that too, for a lot of the influences that we're looking at, because this film has got some wild styles in it.
It does.
But anyways, yeah, so.
All right.
What a shock. I listened to podcasts and did research about this.
What? I have no idea what.
And they just brought me into this thing raw. Straight just threw me into this wild ride of the 1980s.
Yeah.
Of some strange but fun 80s animation.
Yep.
Weird
good music.
Definitely, you do mention The Wall, and there was points where it definitely has that feeling because of the kind of psychedelic wild ride that you run into here. Clearly, I understand why you picked me for my love of Satan.
Yep. Okay, so this is a good segue to start to go off our jumping point. So basically, our lead villain is an aging super rocker named Mock. Full name apparently is Mock Swagger. I wonder who that could be named after. And he is pissed because he is slightly no longer as popular as he used to be.
Mind you, they have animated this guy to look a lot like, Mick Jagger,
Yeah.
but
Iggy
also
Pop.
a little bit like Iggy Pop, who happens to be part of the cast of
Yeah,
this.
who happens to voice a demon because Mock's plan to get revenge on the world for him being slightly less popular is to bring forth a demon that will destroy the world, and to do this he needs the power of one voice who can hit the right notes to open the Armageddon key. And so we open our film with Mock searching for that perfect voice, and he has a ring that will help him find that voice.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And we have some local band.
And a talking pentagram computer.
It's not just your computer?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Mother!
Just for reference, that groan was Will looking down at his watch, which has a rainbow pentagram
Yes,
on it.
it does. It absolutely does.
The best. Yes. So, yes, we are introduced to our protagonists, which are a local band.
Yep. We never get the name of their band, to my knowledge.
It doesn't matter. Their actual band kind of sucks.
I mean, they got chunks that are good, because we had one song that was done by Robin Zander of Cheap Trick, and the other one that's sung by Debbie Harry of Blondie.
What? No, those performances are great, but all of them playing at the same time, I don't know. That was the whole dynamic of the band. It's like the lead singer and his girlfriend, maybe?
It's unclear.
Unclear.
They sort of, I think they hook up during the movie, and it is implied that they are becoming a couple, which is part of why he's so butthurt.
So he's kind of a douche.
The furries thing.
He's more than kind of a douche. He's a super douche.
He's an egomaniac. He wants it all to be about him. Doesn't even want to let her sing.
Yeah.
At all.
Doesn't want to play her song. His name is Omar, and her name is Angel, by the way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which, all right, so the actual voice actors, which I didn't realize until I did research today, Omar is voiced by Paul Lamont, who...
For the American version, there was a different voice actor for the Canadian.
Fuck those Canuck assholes. For a different...
Wow.
English?
No, they started
Are you talking about a French?
No, I'm talking about there was originally a guy named Greg Salata that was the voice actor.
Oh, and that old motherfucker?
I don't know, man. And then when they reviewed the film, that was one of the things that they didn't care for, and that they nixed for distribution.
Yeah, because that guy was like 60. It didn't make any sense for like a young guy. Paul Lamont, he was the hot rodder in American Graffiti.
Okay.
The one that raced against Harrison Ford, baby Harrison Ford, and like had like the young teenage girl in his car that he did not hook up with, thankfully. But like he was like the aging hot rodder that was out of anyway. American Graffiti is a good movie. And Angel, Susan Roman, I think.
Yeah.
Which I didn't recognize the name, but looking it up, she was in David Cronenberg's Rabid.
Oh shit.
And she was in
Nice.
My Bloody Valentine, and she also did a shit ton of like voice acting, including heavy metal, which came before this.
Yeah, she was in heavy metal. I want to say that, so while Mock's singing voice is done by Lou Reed, which is fucking rad, his speaking voice is Don Franks, also known as Iron Buffalo. I think he was also in a ton of other Nelvana productions. I want to say he was also in heavy metal.
Well, he was a weird motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because he was a jazz musician. That's how he kind of got that moniker. He was appreciated by like Native American folks. He's been in all kinds of insane shit.
That tracks.
I mean, he was in Johnny Mnemonic. Like, I mean, he's just... He did, like, TV work, movie work. Like, he was just all over the... And he worked when he wanted to.
Yeah.
And see, the glory of this is the cast alone says this movie should have gotten more... Because the cast is fantastic.
It's bananas.
It's amazing. And later on we get... can we call it a vocal cameo?
Yeah, I guess by Catherine O'Hare. I was like...
Yep.
Yeah, as Aunt Edith. And I would pay so much money to have her dress up as Aunt Edith now, because we're talking about like an aged, one-eyed tattoo artist who gives zero fucks and doesn't care about what anyone's name is.
Right?
If she ever comes to a con, I do have in my crazy stacks in the garage, I have a one sheet of of Rock and Roll.
Of course you do.
You know, just because it came in a big fucking...
And mind you, like, in the scene, she's tattooing a naked mermaid on the back of some rat dude's big-ass bald head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
so, just this brief blip in the movie.
Yep.
Which there's several of these that I guess are plot devices.
You know, there's a lot that would have been cool if we gotten more expansion on, but I think we're jumping ahead of ourselves. So,
I'm going to rely on you.
okay.
I have little tiny things that I wrote down based on certain points, but you're going to need to kind of narrate this story.
Okay, well
because
then you
it's
guys just jump
fucking
in.
bananas.
Oh yeah, no, I love this. So, Mock starts out, gets in his car, goes to check out this local band where we are introduced to Omar and Angel are two, semi-competing, co-singers, and Dizzy and Stretch, who are their other band members.
It's a talent night.
It's a talent night at this other, this total sleazebag named Mylars. He shows up off and on as kind of our, big tooth rat DJ guy.
Probably voice some strip clubs at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not go into the symbolism too much.
Oh,
His
yeah.
animation was, okay.
Yeah. His face was 90% teeth. And the rest was nose.
But they're not quite making the grade, I guess,
Well,
by his standards.
Right, but Mock's ring goes off when Angel sings. And so that gets his attention because that's what he's been looking for. The ring was made by his computer so he could find the one voice that could open the dimension for the demon to come through. So they get an invitation to Mock's castle. It's this very glitzy card that says, "Won't you come up for a spell?"
Yeah.
Of course. And so the whole band goes. And I know this will shock you, but Omar is a total douche right off the bat to everyone.
What? He's just mad that it's not all about him. Really?
Yeah.
Right?
I guess. I don't even know what his motivation is there. There's, you could have schmoozed, you could have done this. And I know some of that is,
I do know.
some
It's called
self-conscious.
fragile masculinity.
Well, there's fragile masculinity, but I think they also purposefully put some of that in there because there's Nirvana themselves at this point. I think we're torn between we're enjoying making movies and we don't want to sell out because what followed this, because they ended up going bankrupt because everything got fucked up with this movie, one thing after another. And so the next film they did after Rock and Roll is the fucking Care Bears movie.
That tracks. It tracks.
Which, short analysis of the Care Bears movie, this magic book gets opened by a magician's assistant who promises to help him make friends and instead makes him powerful and tries to take away all the caring in the world. So the Care Bears have to come and stop it.
Did that movie do well?
The Care Bears movie? Yeah. It helped make them come out of bankruptcy. They didn't get to keep any of it, but it leveled them out and got them on the playing field. They ended up doing stuff like Inspector Gadget, Strawberry Shortcake, and a fuck ton of other stuff. I think they did Babar. I was looking at their
So they're
production
still
company
around,
is
right?
still going. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, their production company is still going. They're still in business.
Even after this movie.
And even after this movie. This was just
I would have lost that bet. I would have thought for sure they were not.
No,
That this movie sank them for good.
No, they are 100% still around. They are just doing more definitively children's programming for the most part, which kind of makes sense for, I think, the overall thing, because a lot of them just are excited to make movies. And Clive Smith, I think, was a little bit more torn out of the group because he seemed to be a little bit more on the kind of writing that punk rock edge where he's I want to smoke dope and I want to make art and I want to be weird and I want to make what I want to make. But, such is the clash of, can this make money while we make what we want to make? And thus we get Rock and Roll. And so that comes into play a little bit here where, I think they were trying, Clive Smith injected a little of that, and then the others are I don't know what you're talking about, dude. But
had he not been a Canuck, it might have worked. I mean, had he worked for Roger Corman?
well, I mean, okay.
I mean, come on, it's just
Roger Corman. There's a lot that could have happened there, but they still found success, and I'm still glad for that.
You can definitely tell that at some points too, this movie wanted to be an adult cartoon.
Yeah.
Very much reminiscent of heavy metal and things like that.
Definitely.
But then, like, the next moment you're in there, it's like you're watching The Rescuers Down Under.
Right.
Like, it's...
We're still very much being, like, rescued by the power of heart, and there's still, like, the slapstick, because Mock's henchmen end up being called the roller skating Schlepper brothers, and they are literally on roller skates. And their names are Zip, Toad, and Sleazy.
That's right. What's their line? Be nice or be dog food.
Yeah. Be nice or be dog food.
Also, I noticed that during it, too, there was no foul language, actually.
No. And I'm wondering if that ended up getting edited out. If I remember correctly, I think there was some, and I think that also got edited out for the
because
American release.
even the scene when they bamboozle the officer to get a car, he screams, and you're like, did he just scream? Like, what? It was like...
It was slime!
That was the second time. The first time he does it is, like, unintelligible.
But, you know, you're like, were you trying to drop an F-bomb and you just switched it to fudge? Like, and you're like, what?
It does sound like a llama screaming, you're right.
So, I mean, you get that element that it did come from a directed point where it could have been a movie for kids, but, like, because there were adult elements, you know, it's the same kind of thing
the
that
Monster Squad conundrum.
Yeah, and the issue, the Monster Squad, the things that you run into with, like, Ren and Stimpy and other things that were made for kids, but definitely when you watch them as an adult, you're like, the fuck did I not see that?
Right. No, that was definitely me looking back at things like The Secret of Nim being like, oh, that's why I have issues. I was watching rats crush each other to death. Oh, okay. And blood in a children's cartoon. Delightful. But anyways, so they come to Mock's, and Mock very quickly separates Angel from the group, where he distracts two of them with essentially what I assume are like the televised version of drugs called Edison balls, and then
like a glowing trip ball.
Yeah, basically. And it just like fries their brain, and they stare into it happily. And then he steals Angel away to this garden where he turns on some sort of electronic projection / magic thing to further fuck with her mind, and tries to
I thought he was trying to romance her at first.
So I don't consider any of that romancing. It's definitely just feels like coercion and then bullying. And then when those don't work still, he's just like, fuck it, I'll just kidnap her.
Yeah, because like his entire plan is she has to sign his solo contract to sing for him, or at least that's how he puts it. But
yeah, she doesn't have to sign a contract. She's just got to sing.
She got to sing.
Yeah, he needs her voice
for the demon.
That's right.
Summoning.
And we don't even get into the demon summoning. She finds out about the demon after being kidnapped and taken to Nuke York.
From a mansion that turned into a blimp.
Yep.
He kidnapped her in the mansion, and the mansion grew a blimp, like bubble out of the top of it, and it floats off from, what was the name of the town?
Ohmtown.
Ohmtown, not hometown, but Ohmtown.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make a music joke. Right. Good pun. Good pun.
That shit was so fucking hot. That was some like Bond villain-esque shit.
Yeah. No,
that they could never do on that scale. Like, they had a blimp situation in, like, View to a Kill, but, like, it was nothing.
I love that there's so many movies that have a blimp situation out there. And now it's never used. It's just not... No one cares about blimps anymore.
Well, I mean, I think when they were like, oh, these blow up really easily. This is not great.
Well, whatever.
So what blimps have you seen lately?
I haven't.
Blimping.
The Goodyear? Does the Goodyear blimp even still exist?
I have no idea.
I'm sure it's somewhere over the Midwest. I mean, like,
just lost? Like, is this like the Bermuda Triangle for
who the
blimps?
fuck's gonna be entertained by the Goodyear blimp now? The people that haven't seen it because it was on the other two ghosts. Sorry, I'm being.
My only reference for blimps is from the Critic, where
still shows up at NASCAR events. Maybe, I don't know.
It could be. No, but yeah, no. Mock basically, like, you know, he tried to convince her for a second. Then he was like, I'll give you anything, but you have to, like, leave your band.
No, he's very specific. She says, I don't want anything. And he says, I didn't offer you anything. I offered you everything.
That was a line. A good line.
Yeah.
Definitely sets him as, like, the uber villain.
Yeah, and also defines what he is about as a being. Like, he is about obtaining everything. Either he can have it all, or he's going to destroy it all.
Oh, yeah.
There is no middle ground for him.
So the rest of the band kind of gets, like, thrown the hell out at that point, and they get in their car, and
they get put in their car and pushed down the hill.
And their weird 3-wheeled future car.
Yeah.
I guess they've made 3-wheeled cars now that are probably just as not safe to drive.
Yeah,
probably.
So they go through a barrier. They go down a hill. They end up, like,
in a fountain,
going down these stairs, like, kind of like.
Oh, that's right. They referenced Battleship Potemkin.
Weirdly, yes, they animated, like, a weird little homage to the stair scene in Battleship Potemkin, which is, like, one of the most iconic, like, montage sequences of all time.
Oh yeah,
but, like, that was weird. But, like, then they end up crashing, and then the cop shows up.
That's right. The meatiest cop I've ever seen animated, I think.
That's right. I don't know who voiced him, but it was good. That was the best voice.
Oh, I don't know. I did not look and see who was the cop. He was not on the top of my
That's
list.
okay. He was ornery. He was ornery.
That's right. And he was dumb, and they stole his fucking car.
Bamboozled.
They bamboozled him.
They did.
Then he almost swore.
That's right. Then he made mad llama noise. Was that more llama or goat?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's go with goat. That's more your brand.
It does feel more on brand.
But they did steal that cop car, and then they drove over some kind of a weird ass, like, bridge.
They were driving to New York.
There was
New York,
but they like were traversing the road, but then the land, because the cars are in the future can float, except for their 3-wheeled piece of shit. But this floating cop car. And they crossed a laser bridge.
Fucking bridge.
It they ran off a cliff, and all of a sudden the bridge lit up bright lasers in multicolors and some Care Bear stuff coming out of the mountain.
There you go.
Across to traverse this canyon.
Care Bear's what got your back, man. Everybody's got a day job. Keeping the world caring by night. Working bridges by day.
And so they get to New York.
Yep. And then promptly get arrested for lying, and that's when we get to meet Aunt Edith, because she's apparently Dizzy / Alphonse's aunt. But yeah, she tells them once they meet Aunt Edith, once she bails them out of jail, even though she's pissed about it, she's like, all right, I don't know how to find them, but I know how to find Cinderella. And they're like, who the fuck is Cinderella? And it turns out the roller skating Schlepper brothers have a sister with some of the biggest hits I've ever seen animated.
An excessively short skirt that they make every point to show her ass and her panties. Just constantly.
And her heart with wings tattoo that was $14.95.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
true.
That the aunt had tattooed on her.
That's right.
And that's how they were going to find this chick, was by this tattoo.
That's right. And they
by a piece of flash that I'm sure she's tattooed on countless other people.
That's right.
For $15?
For $15.
And they're going to go to Club 666 to find her.
Oh, yes. Oh, God. All right. I do have one thing written down here, and I wonder if you or either of you remember. At some point in this process, I forgot something. I have no context where it goes, but I just wrote down Chief Inspector Quaaludes, and this is a tuna fish license.
Oh, that's
tuna fishing license.
That's when they're getting into New York. They have closed the city off because they have to do some sort of inspection.
Right.
And so Omar tries lying to the gate guard.
That's what it was.
And the cop's name was Chief Inspector Quaaludes. Yeah, Quaaludes. And which, holy shit. And he keeps saying, like, I've got this permit or I've got this, and then tries to, like, just rip it away from him and drive through. And the gate guard grabs him and is like, hey, this is a tuna fishing license. And that's how they end up in jail.
Right. And then you were talking about the sister of the triplets, who has the best line. I don't know if it already happened or if it's about to happen.
We meet her after Aunt Edith talks about her.
Right.
I think it was kind of happening at the same time.
Yeah, you might
There
be
was
right.
like some introduction, and then Aunt Edith talked about her, and then you go back to her to kind of it's like
because she
And you were talking about, you know, the way they portrayed her, you know, very top heavy, you know, panties always out, tiny skirt.
Yeah.
right. So and then we traverse to this Club 666.
Well, we get them crawling through the vents first because she talks Angel, and Angel's like, oh yeah, I totally want to go clubbing with you and not just escape this place. I know hip slang, believe me. And that's where she finds out about Mock's plan, because she crawls over the vents and hears Mock talking to the computer.
Right. Now, the one line that I wrote down for this, you might already have it, is from what the fuck is her name? The sister.
Oh, Cinderella. Or Cindy.
Cindy.
Yeah, her name is Cinderella.
They keep this place tighter than a hummingbird's twat.
Tweet.
Tweet.
A hummingbird's tweet.
That's right. That's how they got away.
Because they didn't say twat. They said tweet.
That's right.
Yep.
Which is amazing, and it's too long of a title to name this episode, unfortunately.
You could just call it a hummingbird's tweet.
That's possible.
Tighter than a hummingbird's. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
You might.
We'll figure it out.
Workshop it.
But yes, they're getting the lowdown on Mock's plan.
No, she
through the vents.
that. Yeah. Cindy doesn't even pay attention to the plan. She doesn't give two shits. She's just like,
I'm
Yo,
going
you
out to
chickening-
this club.
Are you chickening out? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's playing with the computer, and he needs he needs Angel to sing the sequence of notes, sequence of whatever, to summon the fucking demon.
That's right. And that's also where he finds out that no one can put the demon back. But the computer says that the demon could be returned by the magic of one voice, one heart, one song. But there is no one, is what the computer keeps saying. And so Mock is like, I'm safe.
It really sounds like the Care Bear movie is a spiritual sequel to this.
Right.
I feel like that explains a large part of my personality.
Oh, shit. Could be, you know.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
I
fuck.
loved Grumpy Bear as a child, and now my partner is Grumpy Bear.
So at some point, there's an informant. Was it the same guy?
It was the guy, the guy getting
tattooed guy who has like
The
a harpoon.
captain.
He has a harpoon for a leg that
Yep.
like steps on a hot dog, right?
Yep.
By a bum.
Yep.
And
the
he
bum
goes
tries
to,
to
he
eat the
goes
hot
to
dog.
like a weird like telephone ATM and talks to like the triplets, right? One of the triplets.
Yeah, he calls Toad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then he gets incinerated for his service.
Yeah. Well, he apparently had some other issues with them in the past where he fucked up, and so he was like, "Yeah, we're even." Burp. And then incinerates him, electrocutes him through the telephone system.
It's a fucking rock.
And then the bum gets the hot dog off of the ground that was on his harpoon leg.
And he gets the harpoon, so now he gets like something to cook his other hot dogs with.
Right.
This sounds like a happy ending.
It is a happy ending.
But I also, one of the other things that I had forgotten during that scene where Mock is, where Angel is listening to Mock talk to the computer about his plan, he's got on another screen like legal, accounting, and a couple other like animated heads pull up. And at one point when he's talking about summoning this demon, they're like, we realize business has been off, but I think this is pretty crazy. And they're just like, you want to do what? My dude, these are record sales, basically.
Yeah, he's not interested, though.
No, he
he's
doesn't
like,
get
fuck
$2.
you guys,
Yeah.
corporate shills.
He is 100% insane and excited to be insane. And I believe tells them when he wants their opinion, he'll give it to them.
That's true.
He did.
Which
Those were his
feels
words.
like a very Mick Jagger thing to say.
And Cindy and Angel had a good time at Club 666, gotta
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, so this gets to the point. Sorry, I jumped the gun about the Club 666
No, you're
shenanigans.
good. We're good.
Well, one, I was excited. Two, this fucking place, man, it's like early 80s, disco, Inferno. I mean, it is... It was actually Earth.
Yeah, it is actually Earth, Wind, and Fire that is playing while they're in the club.
And I mean, oh man, I wish I'd been born in a different era. This is like, there's definitely like references to drugs. I'm sure there's multiple cocaine references.
There's tons of cocaine references. There's a flasher. There's an anti-gravity bar.
There's a lot of like illustrated nipples.
Yep.
A lot of phallic noses.
Very phallic noses. Everyone's having a blast. There's some shutter shades. I mean, I would have been at home in this bar.
Will McCobb, shutter shade extraordinaire.
Yeah, bring it on. There's and then it's a den of sin. Yeah. It really is. Kind of like, and I love that they lean into this because it definitely feels like they kind of played into that 80s satanic panic going on periodically throughout this movie. So it's a lot of fun.
Plus the small town kids going to the big city finding this like club that is way out there, and to the point where at one point I think it's Aunt Edith refers to the club as the Twilight Zone. So I don't know if that's a goof where they were originally going to call the bar the Twilight Zone, or if she's making like a reference to it being like the Twilight
it should have been
Zone.
Called Club Hedonism, right?
I mean, 666 I was ready to live deliciously.
Hell yeah.
Like a taste of butter and pretty dresses with your nipples showing?
Yeah!
So I guess, like, right after this, Mock does reacquire Angel, and he has also acquired and abducted the band.
So... We have one of my favorite parts before that, because so they do get abducted, but how Mock both breaks Omar and gets Omar is they all get kind of like either taken out of the club or lured out of the club, and Omar hears Angel and goes looking for her through the smog of the streets and follows her voice up into this building and sees what he thinks is Angel snuggled up with Mock, with the two of them laughing at him, like them being together as a couple. And then when Omar freaks out and runs and then inevitably gets taken and dragged to Mock's, Mock pulls this face off of the female that he's with, like, and it is a mask, and it's this like mutant person, and her name is literally What's Her Face, and you get the impression that this is what she does, that she can like mimic different
He's got all the agents.
I wish
in
we
the
had
right
so much
places,
more about her.
you know.
I just want more information on her. She's so fucking cool.
And just a tiny blip of a character once again. Also, you mentioned it, like the smog of the city. It is this city is illustrated to look like every post-apocalyptic movie that you've ever seen.
Yep.
Grimy, up top is ritzy, and and every version of it. You could see it. You've seen it in Fifth Element. You've seen it in.
We said Blade Runner. We said the Jetsons. We said all sorts of stuff. Akira.
Like all like the backgrounds of Akira.
Even some of the one of the first 3 Star Wars films had where they were down on the bottom level. And it was this grimy, dirty bar.
Side note, I think actually George Lucas became someone that was helpful to them later on, because I think they were involved in some of the Star Wars animated stuff, and potentially even the
droid series?
The Christmas special involving, because they talked about that, and they talked about the first
best
appearance
thing
of
George Lucas ever did. Fuck yeah.
Of course, we
not really
think that.
But yeah,
Christmas special is. We have to, that at some point we have to cover that.
Hey, that had Donna Summer in it.
Donna Summer can only save so much, my friend.
That's true. Yeah, no.
Donna Summer and Boba Fett, a Christmas special do not make, but we still have to sit through it because that's what we do for podcasts.
We can do that at one point.
Anyway, it was very, very stereotypical it always questions when you see these movies in the timeline that things come out. Who referenced who?
That's true.
Oh yeah. No, there's also like there's an evolution of this, and one of the things that like I had forgotten is the Berlin Wall is still standing at this time, so we're still in like that kind of atmosphere.
Right.
So there's still a lot happening in the fucking world. I mean, there's always a lot happening in the fucking world, but you get what I'm saying here.
I mean, even some of the early animation, there was some very Hugo Boss-esque
Yeah.
sort of like costuming in this, like opening the movie.
And that's what's
opening
great.
it.
The Schlemper brothers started out looking like they're fucking SS officers, and then take that off, and they've got tight red pants and like doorman outfits on, but roller skates. And then they take off the doorman top, and they've got these purple lightning bolt tops.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Wild. Like I said,
Animated fashion layers.
I know. I know.
they slowly get more and more naked as the movie goes.
Hey, me too. Oh, whoops. That's how everyone watches movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why Jurassic Park was so fun when we watched it.
All right, so then we get to the first attempt at the apocalypse demon summoning.
Yeah, Mock basically blackmails Angel, saying that he will fry their brains and their bodies of her bandmates if she doesn't sing for him.
Yeah, he's got them in like a energy sphere.
The larger version of the Edison ball, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so they got to go do this gig at Carnage Melon.
It's spelled as Carnage Hall, but
Carnage Hall.
I think that they fudge a little and say Carnegie, like that.
Yeah,
that's their pronunciation of
the
it.
news people are like Carnegie Hall.
Yeah,
Because
obviously a play off Carnegie, but you know.
Because mind you,
spelled
it's like a really weird montage you hit
Mm-hmm.
with some music and some images, but we're gonna fast forward through some of the plot devices here, and
Yeah. But long story short, it goes horribly wrong. The demon does not get summoned because there's not enough power, and they just destroy the venue, and people are very confused.
Yes, they completely destroy most of that part of town, right?
Yeah. They wreck the venue. They wreck that part of town. But everyone is like, what will he do now? And it turns out that he didn't have enough power to summon the demon. Like, her voice is fine, but the power level is not.
That's right. More power for the pentagram stage.
That's right, for the pentagram projection.
That's why they got to go to Ohmtown.
That's right.
back to Ohmtown we go.
Because they have the nuclear power station or something there?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, of course, the place that we started. Let's go home. So we head back, and we get the sequences of the drugged up band members being all goofy and happy and like totally not themselves, and of Angel trying to convince Mock that they should just go away together and forget all this and just the two of them, and he has his like meltdown and like screaming fit with his hair all fluffed up.
Yep.
He is such a prima donna. I love him.
All right, so, well, we got to get back into a second run for this demon summoning, which goes a little better this time.
Yeah, we started
Huge.
getting
Obviously,
success.
like a huge place that they've constructed or had constructed for this particular event. Giant pentagram stage, and she is forced to sing.
Yeah.
And mind you, there's like brief like concert series because we have to we have to showcase that Lou Reed sang for the singing voice of Mott.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah,
Like,
he has a couple.
there's definitely like the whole concert has to happen.
Oh, the
and-
music video, and the music video interludes.
Yes.
So we get two of those. One after they do drugs the first time they're at his house, where we get Triumph of the Glory of Me. And then on the way back from New York to Ohmtown, we get My Name is Mock. Parentheses,
Yep.
Thanks a lot. Listen to it, thank me later, it'll be in your brain forever.
It was good, and it was right before Lou Reed started just like talking in his songs.
Yeah.
There was a weird time where like Lou Reed and fucking like Leonard Cohen just started like talking, like they weren't singing anymore. It was the 80s. I don't know what happened, but
Drugs?
like, well, maybe they just ruined their voices. Maybe But like, I fucking love Lou Reed. I mean, don't get me wrong, but
Legit.
he was still singing in this movie, and it was great.
It just made me think of, it gave me flashbacks to when you gave me Get Crazy, and just him wandering through the streets playing his guitar, singing about everything.
Exactly, which was also 83, I think.
Huh. He was a busy boy.
Yeah, he was.
But yeah, so we get some of those interludes, and then as the demon is getting summoned, bulbs start bursting as they're trying to draw power. Mock is forcing Angel to sing, like literally has a device on her throat that is making her sing, and she's drugged up.
And chained up like she's the sacrifice for King Kong almost.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. What was that? Like a fucking Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Who was the, like, I was the princess? I fucking remember.
Oh, there's a lot
Can't
of
remember my
references.
fucking mythology right now.
Oh,
But, you know,
Greek mythology.
like the giant fucking, like, not the Gorgon, whatever
being sacrificed to the sea serpent.
Yeah, no.
Is it Perseus?
I'm failing my schooling right now. It's fine. Anyway.
This is an 80s cartoon. This isn't Greek mythology. It's fine.
No,
it's fine.
it's all
But
good.
she's
But there's
chained
a lot of
up,
those
she's in a
references.
skimpy dress, and she's singing her heart out because she's being controlled.
That's
Yeah,
right.
And they have
And-
boosted this power, and now there's a neon red pentagram shining through
And
into the sky.
is floating in a batarang with these these pipes that he's playing like an organ.
You can see people play things like that on TikTok now.
You can see people play a Furby organ on TikTok, Will.
I like the Furby organ.
I worry about you.
That's fair.
Furby organ hurts my
So
teeth.
we got to get to where the demon is successfully fucking
That's
summoned.
right. But the all the bulbs bursting snaps the band out. So the band bursts, snaps into action while this is happening. So the demon is coming up, but the band is now taking action where they're finding their way there, where they once again, two of them steal a patrol car from
the same cop.
from the same dumbass Officer Quaalude, who at that point screams slime.
Not as
Sorry.
No,
not so.
not Officer Goatmouth.
No, not exactly. So, and this is where honestly the animation totally changed
Yes.
too.
It's been changing many times, but this is the best animation in the movie.
Agreed.
It just the demon coming out of the pentagram and the flying teethy babies. And
Oh, yeah.
Just monstrous dinosaur looking terrible teeth gnashing, but also
Yeah.
just a total different style of animation.
Yes, this felt more like a sketch, like someone's brain free flowing to a song.
And very acid trippy.
Mm-hmm.
You have gone on an adventure through this hellscape.
yeah.
Not the same animation, but gave me some of the feeling. I mentioned it while we were watching of the acid trip from Beavis and Butthead that was inspired by Rob Zombie's animation at that
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I sometimes you once again, where do you draw these inspirations? And you're like maybe that was inspired by that because you're summoning this hell thing and it's coming out and there's teeth and there's weird floating things and
There's
eyeballs
so
and
much that
tentacles.
leads into each other, and I love that. Also, this is where we get Iggy Pop singing for the voice of the demon, a song called "Pain and Suffering."
Hell yeah.
Yeah, which you get the deep Iggy Pop croak vocals as well as some higher melodic stuff. It's good. It's good.
I'm trying to remember. Was it it was a meme for a while, but the whole alien Muppet thing that was a giant mouth.
Are you talking about the Yip Yips?
the Yip Yips? Is that what they are?
Yeah, they just go yip 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 yip.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So it kind of was like an animated version of one of those.
Except with a billion faces, like the damned are trapped
but
inside of it.
when you saw the entire thing in scale, he was just this giant thing with a little head at the top.
He was when we looked at it. When you look at it,
he kept
as
morphing.
as a conglomerate. But when its arms come out to try to envelop Angel when she decides to fight back against it, it forms all these tiny heads. And so I think like they tried to keep up with that animation style, and they really wanted to keep that as like that style for the demon itself, because it continues to flow inside of it. It like really fucks with my eyes. I love it.
In general too, it was the only time you saw that animation style in the movie. Like some of the, there was definitely like the kids' cartoon animation going on every now and then. You get those little feels of heavy metal and stuff like that. But like this specific scene was done very, very different than the rest of the film.
There are at least like 4 or 5 different animation styles in here.
Yeah. The 2 shortest are the demon scene, and Zip is watching some sort of cartoon or show called Uncle Mikey, where Uncle Mikey asks if he knows the difference between good and evil. But that animation style is like almost like paper cutouts of things, and it's wildly different in the way that it illustrates people and the way that it does motion and things like that.
Yeah. We'll get into more of that at the end.
Like the only reason I brought that up is because Zip saves Omar and Angel because he doesn't want to be evil.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's like, that's a demon. Demons are evil. Shit, I'm evil. And Zip is a simple baby.
Right, and that's at one point. He's one of the brothers, right?
Yeah, he's one of the roller skating brothers.
And that's when the most like dramatic scene of the movie happens, and he dies, and his roller skate wheel, they roll in on it, and it stops rolling.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and his brother cries. Toad, who is the tough one.
That's right.
Cries.
And this becomes really the plot device, because they've now summoned this demon. It has come through.
Yep.
And you've got Angel and Omar. Omar has tried to help stop the demon.
He has successfully freed Angel, but Zip saved their lives. And so that's where we're at.
And
because
Angel
he didn't want to be evil.
Right.
Because he watched that little cartoon about evil.
Because
that's right.
Uncle Mikey said, don't be evil. Don't be evil.
Even
be
though
good.
Uncle Mikey was a really unsettling cartoon.
Very unsettling cartoon clown person. Yes.
And now Angel is singing the demon, or trying to sing the demon back into hell.
Right, because she figures if I can sing it up, I can sing it back.
Whence it came. Yeah. And lo and behold, we have this came out in 83. I wonder if this came out before Return of the Jedi, because we've got Mock thrown in to the fucking abyss by one of the brothers, like Vader did to the Emperor in Jedi. I have no idea, but because basically, I don't remember what brother it was. Was it Toad or Sleazy?
Toad.
Toad was just like, you fucking killed my brother, right?
So what you're getting
first.
So what you're getting is Angel starts
not.
to sing, because she's going to sing him back. Then Omar finally gets his shit together and decides not to be a prick for the first time in the movie and sings her song with her. Meanwhile, Toad has gone up to avenge his brother's death from the Batarang tube machine music. What? I don't know what else to call it.
No, that's
and he's cast as the demon is cast back into the pentagram. Mock is cast in there with him.
That's right. Because Toad hoists him above his head and flings him.
And very much so. Now that you mention that, right?
Yeah, it is very.
Yeah, you're very right.
I think they were just on the same page, just because this would have come out first, but they had to have been working on this simultaneously.
Oh no. And you said that there's a connection between this production company and George Lucas?
Yeah.
Oh man, he fucking stole this shit. I'm calling it now on the fucking podcast. Because any animated movie is going to be made a year before it comes out. There's so much fucking work to be done.
Right.
That's true.
So the whole throwing the mad dude.
Yeah, but I don't know when they're
throwing the baddie into the fucking thing.
I'm telling you, there are elements of this movie that everyone was like, this was a cult classic, probably in movie production history, where people are like, no one fucking remembers this movie, so we can rip this shit off hard.
Big time.
That hurts my heart.
I'm calling it. George Lucas ripped off this movie.
I know it probably hurts because this is...
Is it a ripoff or is it homage? Because they did the all work and no play makes Monka Del Boy.
I mean, they did. They did an homage in there.
So we have...
Layers.
Like... You know, with any pop culture phenomenon, successful or unsuccessful, you end up getting these layering of references. And honestly, something being taken from this movie for another pop culture giant makes a hideous amount of sense for the way that this production company, like the punk rock way that they started out doing things. So, you know, I get it for the internal battles that Clive Smith seems to face.
Yeah, you know, George Lucas did what he did. Calling it.
I'll never admit anything.
Anyway, so like fucking Mock is thrown into the fucking abyss. He is defeated. He dies. And the band now has, like, as the fucking apocalyptic demon has also been like defeated, they suddenly have a gigantic amount of fame because the entire crowd in this venue is just like, oh shit.
This was a wild show. Yeah. Holy fuck, this was metal as shit.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
And it's unclear if they realized that was not in fact a show and that Mock is in fact, you know, deadsies.
And that it was actually a demon that you saw in front of you.
Yeah.
Your eyes should have melted out of your skin.
And then they keep singing and there's a rainbow. Care Bears. Sorry. But that's where the movie goes, you know?
That's right.
It's the power of one voice, one heart, one song when they learn to harmonize.
And that was the reference that no one could send the demon back.
Right.
That's right.
They had to unite the two of them.
The harmony. The
whole band.
Man, it's lucky that was the dude she was fucking. That would have been rough if it was somebody in the crowd.
Wow. So yes, that was Rock and Rule from 1983.
Woohoo!
And that was a fun ass fucking movie.
I had a blast
yet
with
again. And just a weird ass fucking movie still. Like, I still can't fully like wrap my brain around it because it's so... And this was one of the things that I wanted to bring up earlier, but I kept stopping myself. The animation style in this movie shifted so many times. Because we had like Ralph Bakshi style stuff. Then we had like weird, like proto, almost CGI style like animation stuff. We had weird television effects over animation at a couple points in the movie. What else we have? We had
your crazy demon sequence that like doesn't really match up to anything other than like just the trip, like a trippy series.
Right. Yeah, we had stuff that looked like rotoscoping but wasn't almost. I remember there were certain sort of illustrated backgrounds that kind of like scrolled across the screen that almost looked like Akira at some point. And there was one particular sequence that felt out of place when they stole the cop car and we saw this long shot from above of the cop car driving on a street and there's like clouds going by. That shit was a fucking model. Like, it was a model with like clouds and like...
Was that during the road trip when they're heading to New York?
Yeah. I was just like, what the fuck is going on with this movie?
it seemed that one seemed strange to me. That's where they were like traversing over the terrain but then back onto the road and then
it was very
and
bizarre.
then across the Rainbow Bridge.
How very houseu of them.
I really enjoyed the weird ass animation styles and especially the characters. They were so expressive and especially the faces and the way they animated the faces, especially the villain. I mean, come on, man.
Oh god,
his jowls.
Oh my god,
villain jowls are just like
his lips. Like, he definitely had those like extra enunciated Jagger lips. Like, also one of the best fucking entrances. Like, electrically materializes with a beer in hand.
Man,
just a good old fucking wild ride of a movie. I tell you, I'm thank you for bringing me on this journey.
I was really hoping you would enjoy this. I'm glad that you joined us. for this madness.
Hell yes. So we are now at the end, and we are going to wrap this whole thing up with a nice Care Bears bow tie, I guess, right?
I don't know if the Care Bears wear bow ties. They've got their tummy symbols. They're kind of to do their like Care Bear things.
I didn't watch cartoons as not those cartoons.
I watched an excessive
cartoons,
amount of cartoons.
but I've also drank a lot of my memory away of them.
I have watched Care Bears more recently than I care to. Actually, you know what? I'm fine with it. Yeah, I watched the Care Bears.
You do care to say.
I do care. I care.
All
a
right,
lot.
so we are going to talk about how would we double feature this.
Yeah.
If we were going to watch this movie with friends.
Oh, not if, when.
If and when. We were going to watch this with friends, and we were going to have a second movie or a prequel to this experience. What would you pair this movie with?
Okay. All right. I've got mine that I know if I was setting this up as a twofer, what I would do. Do either of you want to go first, or do you want me to go ahead and lead off?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I will say, like, at one point I did show this movie as part of a post-apocalyptic night and paired it with, like, Hell Comes to Frogtown and, you know, Doomsday and some other stuff.
Nice.
But if I was going to show this in a twofer, I would pair this with Cool World from 92, which is Bakshi animation, but it is another one that combines a bunch of different styles. There's rotoscoping, there's these weird backgrounds, there's these strange, like, still shots of, like, just drawn characters that are meant to be like filling clubs, and it's just very bizarre. And that was one of the films that drifts back and forth between animation and actual human beings, so there's a lot going back and forth. Another fucking killer soundtrack, by the way, and just kind of one of those what the fuck movies, because Rock and Roll I found on Prime, and Cool World I found by chance flipping through channels and catching a blip of the end animation where everything is just going insane and there is ink and characters and like stuff filling Las Vegas, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'm gonna Google the shit out of it.
I definitely remember Cool World.
Yeah, very
after Who's Framing Roger Rabbit. That was like the weird cult schlock version of it, you know. And I was like, okay.
Fair enough. But yeah, my pick is Cool World with Rock and Roll.
Well, I guess if I was going to pair this with any other movie, this would have to be the second movie.
Okay.
Because it's incomprehensible to most people that aren't on drugs.
Rude.
On some way, shape, or form.
I'm not on drugs.
It's a fun-ass flick, but I would put this, if I wanted to entice my guests, I have a film that I have been singing the praises of for some years called The Congress.
Oh yeah, you talked to me about this too.
Half live action, half animated.
Oh, interesting.
It stars Robin Wright as herself, and she has to go into like this weird animated realm to save her son. It's fucking awesome. It's such a cool ass movie. It's such an interesting concept, and so it kind of combines, dramatic stuff with like weird adventure. Where after people had seen that, had another couple of drinks, had a smoke outside, whatever, come back in. This is the perfect second movie for that because it's like fucking bananas and they're just ready to go.
Fair enough. Ready to ridicule and
that's all I can say.
Or rock and roll.
All right, so mine's gonna go off the rails a little bit on this because I didn't have as much time to think about the fact that this has to be paired with something else. It is funny that you mentioned Who Framed Roger Rabbit because that could be a fun pairing too.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and go with a ridiculous, schlocky, nonsensical movie that ended with one of the fucking sweetest demons in history. And I'm gonna say I would pair this because of the demon scene with Howard the Duck.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, that's a great fucking choice, bro.
Nice.
That's a great fucking choice.
All right, okay. You're okay.
That's a great fucking choice. I love that movie so hard.
Oh yeah.
No, that was good. I'm a little surprised that none of us went heavy metal, but I feel like that was such the obvious pick.
It was too obvious.
Yeah.
That was the easy pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the obvious one. No, Howard the Duck. When I was visiting from living overseas, I would visit my aunt who lived in Houston at the time, and she had fucking HBO, and this is like late 80s, early 90s. And they would repeat movies all the time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
In the course of like a few days visiting her, I saw Gremlins and Howard the Duck maybe 5 times a piece.
Nice.
We fucking love that fucking movie.
Yeah.
All my brothers and I were just totally down for that shit.
That would be my pairing, though.
Nice.
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
a solid pairing. All
right. We are at the tail end now, and I want to talk very briefly about how to fucking find us.
It is important and helpful.
Indeed. You can reach out to us directly at Beautiful Disasters Podcast on Facebook. You can email us if you have recommendations for something for us to watch or something movie to inflict upon one of the other co-hosts for Schlock abuse at beautifuldisasterspodcast@gmail.com.
Put our metal to the test.
And we have Instagram rocking now. What is that Instagram?
It is beautiful_disasters_podcast. I'm trying to be a little bit more vigilant with posting and responding. Please feel free to interact with us. Shoot us interesting movie stuff that you see posted. Shoot us interesting festival stuff that you see posted. I'd really like to try to get us a little bit more involved and current on the stuff that we are doing. So I'm pretty stoked about it. You can also, I tag all of us individually pretty frequently, so you can also find our individual Instagrams and things like that to check out, the bullshit we watch and do in our free times. And
damn right.
Let's see. Our lovely guest tonight, real quick, is William McCobb. Thank you again for being with us.
I appreciate you. We having a great time here tonight, and thank you for bringing me on to see this fucking disaster. I loved it.
This beautiful disaster. Yeah,
we do.
Will McCobb is part of Synthetic Nightmare, which is a band local to Richmond, Virginia. They are amazing. Please check them out. Will also does stuff and assists with Hell Kitten. So you can find them at Hell Kitten RVA.
Yeah, Hell Kitten RVA on all your social media. HellKittenRVA.com. I'm their roadie and their hype man.
Yeah.
So
fuck yeah.
An occasional snake wrangler.
Occasionally a snake wrangler.
That's not a euphemism. He has a snake named Boris.
Yep. Absolutely.
But yeah, and you can find all of the podcasts on the Geeks Under the Influence network on most places that you get your podcasts, but you can also go to GUIPodcast.com, check out, all of the links for the podcast. You can check out the blog, and you can find our merch link through there, which is through TeePublic.
Goddamn right.
Get you some shiny new things to wear. Or
bunch of different designs for all the different shows. So, yes, I have been the Grutz.
I am Murphy Lawless.
And our guest,
William McCobb.
Thank
you so much for listening.
That's right. Stay beautiful, motherfuckers.
Damn right.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm F.U. Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
embrace the madness.
In a world with too many reboots and remakes,
two men will stop at nothing to make it even worse.
Join Like the Hobbit and Tandy as they play by their own rules while pitching new takes on some of your favorite and least favorite films and TV shows. What podcast would dare to bring this upon the world?
This is Smack My Pitch.
GUIPodcast.com.